Well, we're excited to be in position for this to be an extremely big game with Purdue coming in to Chrysler tomorrow. Challenge our fans to bring the energy, enthusiasm, and to create and continue to build on the home court environment that we continue to create.
Tony, you want to start us off?
We all know how the last game against Purdue went. Do you lean into the revenge factor or just another game? I mean, given where this is in the standings.
We don't use the word revenge, but we have to play much better basketball. We need to make some adjustments schematically, but more importantly, our mindset. And that was a tough night. They deserved to win how they did, and I thought we deserved the result that we got that night. And but we're excited to see our growth, our improvement from then till now, and it's part of the process. That night, a lot didn't go right for us. A lot went wrong. But Purdue caused most of it, and so it's going to be a tough game. But we're excited to go out and compete.
Do you feel you guys learned something that night, and just what have you been most pleased with?
I think we talk about it until you've lived it, until you've experienced it. Some things you can talk about it all you want, but 4 minutes to go, Indiana ties the game. The 4-minute media timeout is 3 and some change. And we come out of the timeout and go on a 4-0 run. In that environment, as loud as it was, I'm not sure that without the Purdue experience that we handle it we were unfazed. So I'm not sure without that experience. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. You never know. But it definitely felt like we were unfazed when the arena lit up.
Where are you at with kind of trying to steal Trey some minutes on the bench to rest, keep him fresh so he doesn't wear down throughout the course of a game, and also avoiding drop-off when he's not out there? We're
trying to be creative. I think it's apparent how much he means to us, and so we'll continue to try to find ways to get him some breathers when he's off the ball. Moving him off the ball where he doesn't have to bring it up and initiate offense. Maybe he can get it back in his hands after everyone's involved and he hasn't had to do much up to that point. Continue to use the media timeouts for his breaks. I think each game's a little bit different, but he played an incredible first half of basketball, and I'm sure fatigue caused a little bit of a second half performance to not be quite as great. But, I think it's getting incrementally better each night. He performs well a little bit for a longer duration than he did the game before.
I know the TV timeouts in the tournament are longer, so it might help, but could you use like one of your timeouts, I guess, for rest, or do you save them for?
I don't think it's, and this is just my opinion, I don't think it's as much physical fatigue as mental fatigue. I think just playing 40 minutes or 37 minutes with extreme focus and concentration is more difficult than him running the floor and being in a stance and cutting for 37 minutes or whatever the case.
Dusty, we see all the time in college basketball a team that loses by a lot sometimes on the road, then beats that same team at home. I guess generally, why do you think that happens?
There's a lot of factors. Sometimes it's just that night. Sometimes, I learned this from Henry Bibby, who I worked for at USC. We had shooters we'd come off the bench, and some nights they came in and the same shot they banged in 4 in a row, and the next 2 games they went 0 for 8. And he talked about how even in baseball, and I played baseball as a young kid, like some days your breaking ball is just not breaking. Some days your fastball just doesn't have the gas that it had the game before. And so I don't know why we think basketball players are any different. It might be injuries, it might be foul trouble, it might be that a group just really found a rhythm that game, and a lot of it is based on making shots and missing shots. There are a lot of games when you watch the same game, if those shots go in, the game looks a lot different than if those shots are missed and then they turn them into transition baskets or whatever the case. A lot goes into, in NBA, the saying is it's a make or miss game. I don't think that's a fallacy. When you make shots, you set your defense, you feel good about yourself, you have positive emotions. When you're missing shots, you're probably worried about what you did wrong and this and that. I think it's human nature, and that's what we're competing against every day. It's the human side of it.
Dennis?
How do you look at handling the pressure against Purdue and bringing the ball up and stopping some of the big runs that were a problem last time around?
Stopping the runs, obviously the turnovers take care of a lot of those runs. They definitely won't happen as quick. I don't want to really give up any of the schematic adjustments that we're going to make against Purdue, but without a doubt, we have to cut better, we have to screen better, we have to play with more physicality. We can't get knocked off of our spots, and so we've got to meet our passes better. We've got to put more on our passes. There's just a lot of fundamentals, but we need to do that going forward against anyone.
What'd you like about the lineup change that you made?
I thought Reuben Jones made a lot of really nice complementary plays. I thought when you look at our baskets and when you go back and just isolate our good possessions, I thought he had a real key role in all of them, whether it was screening, a quick swing, whatever the case. He seemed to just function well, especially the first few minutes of the game. And then Roddy, I still think Roddy's going to have a breakthrough. I think he's going to have a breakthrough. He got 4 or 5 feet around the rim, and it didn't drop. He continues to make big free throws down the stretch. Continuity is important for, when you look around the NBA and college basketball, there's a lot of players switching teams, and very few times is it seamless. And obviously Vlad had an advantage, and Danny and Trey, it's been relatively seamless, but I don't know how many new guys do we bring in? 11 new guys, and so you have 2 that it's been seamless for, or 3 that's been relatively, and even Vlad had some growing pains early in the year, so it's just not as easy as, you're going and you're used to playing with these guys and this style and this system and this language and this everything, and so sometimes it just takes longer, and it's not us, it's every team that's, you look at the portal, the Indiana team has a couple guys that were all league players, were freshmen of the year, and they haven't found their consistent flow and rhythm, and a lot of it's just because it's same thing in NBA. These teams that are making trades and it's a different lineup every night, they usually don't find their flow. There's a real synergy that comes with playing with each other and being comfortable with your teammates.
You talked a couple weeks ago about staying sharp when you're up double digits or having those large leads after a couple weeks more of giving up some of those leads but still winning. I guess, is there a common thread that you found, or is it distinct things in different games?
I mean, I think if you just eliminate the 2 or 3 unforced errors, the game looks a lot different. And then I thought we missed some great looks against their zone. Obviously, if those shots go in, it looks different. I thought Mbako got going and made some extremely difficult shots. I thought we let Malik Renaud get to his left hand a few times. That contributed to it. But, I think UConn was up 26-10 or 12 on St. John's, and St. John's won. I mean, there's a lot of possessions. I mean, I just told Brian I'm so grateful that we're at the point where we're disappointed in margin of victory on the road at Big Ten arenas. So that's a heck of a tribute to our guys, to our conversations all summer, all fall, last spring, to get to this point where you beat these teams. I mean, we've had a heck of our guys have. You look at what they've been able to do on the road at Wisconsin. I mean, at both LA's. Show me another team that goes out and wins 2 in LA against those 2 programs and coaches, and then to find a way to win at Indiana, to find a way to win at Rutgers against a team that, and obviously we caught a little bit of a break there with Harper being out. So, obviously we like to double our lead and triple our lead and quadruple our lead, but I mean, we're playing against a team on the other side that they also are trying to win and come back and play well, and so we'll continue to try to be better every single possession.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Pippen and Walters had like a bigger role against Rutgers and then kind of lesser so against Indiana. How do they deal with the inconsistency in playing time?
How do they or how do I? Head down, work, come to practice every single day, get in the gym extra, get extra film, take care of your body. It's the character is ultimately what allows guys to bust through. LJ Case, and I'm so proud of his breakthrough in the last week or 2 of practice. Because when those guys are practicing well and they have good spirit and energy about them and they continue to grow and improve, then you want to get them into the game. But there's 40 minutes. It's just like I'm sure across campus. I'm sure Coach Moore's got guys that are pretty good backup cornerbacks that are good enough to play, but there happens to be an All-American cornerback in front of them. I'm sure that our base Coach Smith has a couple good shortstops and only one can play. I'm just fortunate we're on a good team. Very grateful we're on a good team, and how they stay with it is you put your head down and work, and there's no other choice if you want to be prepared and ready for when your number's called. And it's a team sport. Those guys are young, and they contributed to us winning a big road game. So, but I'm more proud of their daily approach. It's tough. Our season's long, and when it's not happening the way you envisioned it, it's easy to lay down. But that's part of the life lessons that these guys are learning that you don't even realize it's in motion.
Charles?
How do you balance the challenge of,
focusing on this season while also constructing the roster for next year? And how does Kyle fit into that?
What was the last part of the question?
How does Kyle fit into that, help you out?
Well, Kyle is doing a great job of splitting his roles of being on that side of it while also being a heck of a basketball coach and a very, very knowledgeable scout coach, very competent recruiter, and a great sounding board for me. We've been together so long that I can bounce some ideas off of him. But it's not like it used to be where we're recruiting every day, but recruiting is different now. It's keeping a pulse on what's going on in college basketball. It's keeping a pulse for what's going on in junior college basketball, Division II, because there's going to be this moment, and at that moment, everything's going to either hold together or guys are going to go in the other directions for a number of reasons, and you have to be prepared financially. You have to be prepared with decisive decisions. So now almost all of our focus is on our season, and to be honest, the more successful we are and the better our current players play, the easier it's going to be for us to recruit. And so that's why we've really invested and continue to invest in the time in the gym with our guys. I'm sure if you walked in there right now, there's probably a player or two in with an assistant coach, getting extra work in, developing their game, and staying ready.
Yeah, obviously Purdue tomorrow, and then a pair of rivalry games next week. Maybe not a sense of urgency, but what's the level of intensity you expect from these next couple of weeks?
Exciting. It's going to be fun. When you look at our schedule and how many games do we have left, Tom? 8, and I think we have 3 on the road, 5 at home. And so we put ourselves in great position, and that's where you want to be in February, playing meaningful games. It should be fun. Obviously it's daunting when you look up and it's Purdue, then at Ohio State, and then back home against Michigan State. Is that correct? Yeah. That if you want to run a night's sleep, think about that before bed. But once again, it's part of the challenge. When you're in the Big Ten, you're in the SEC, you're in one of these leagues. It's not changing. You turn the page from one game to the next, and you've got a tough opponent waiting on you every single week. But yeah, these mean a little bit more because of the rivalries. So we're excited.
Tony, do you have another?
I did sort of it, but we'll build on it anyway. Half a game back of the Big Ten lead. If you win, you're more tied for the lead, but a loss would mean 1.5 back, and then they own the tiebreaker. Is that something that you guys can even think about, or is that just another game?
This is a very big game on a lot of fronts. Number one, to show that we can compete with one of the best teams in the country. And yes, we won a championship, but we can't win the championship tomorrow. We've got to continue to improve, continue to stay the course. And I think Coach Beeline actually gave me a quote a while back about dreaming big but focusing small. I think that's well said. That we're dreaming big. We want to be battling these teams at this time of year. And even Ohio State's playing great basketball. I've watched them. They're like us. They're in every single game until the end. They've won some. They've lost some. They've had some good fortune. They've had some bad fortune. But yeah, we're certainly focusing on tweaks and nuances, how we can improve, how to stay fresh, how to stay healthy this time of year. But we're definitely dreaming big as well.